Hello, everyone, and welcome to another of our Monday night podcast. I am Gally. I am going to be the host tonight. I am with our co-host Bickler. We are without our fearless leader Tamuchin as well. He doesn't like to show up for work after bad days, I guess, which is basically what happens when you have a bad day at the office and the boss doesn't show up. You realize you might just have a better day at the office. Mr. Bickler, how are you, my friend?
About to have a better day at the office with no trivia, that's for sure.
It is always a good day. As always, Alan jumps in. Greetings from Houston. And as usual, what? No trivia.
That's right.
Alan, just you wait, my friend. Mr. Bickler, we will get to the match soon. As we started our, for those of you who don't know, Paul and I record the Premier League show each week before this. And Paul made sure that I reminded everyone why I might be a little bit loopy tonight. I'm on exactly 2.5 to 3 hours of sleep. And it's ultimately this little heathen's fault right here. This is my dog, Smokey, with an official Arkles pub scarf around his neck. And he was loving life the day he had this scarf around his neck. He was not loving life between midnight last night and this morning when he decided to be sick all over the house and hardwoods and everywhere that I followed. At one point, I actually woke up, heard him, took a step out, and you would have thought I was Tom Cruise in Risky Business because I went straight across the floor and just over my underwear, and then literally went straight back in. So working on it here, guys. I'm going to do the best I can. And admit it, Gally, that's after 2 to 3 hours of sleep. That is probably true. It is. And to be fair, this dog is just paying me back because I had a debauchery of a weekend because, it was St. Patrick's Day here in the Northeast. And that is, just an excuse to make it any other day of the week. But we got to get right at it. We are going to have some special guests tonight. We're going to let you know who that special guest might be. He might already be looking for his link. He'll be in before he knows it. But we wanted to start it out the way we always do, starting out with the show, saying hi to all of our listeners, making sure we add everyone here. Brian Shelton's chimed in. Sir Z has chimed in. I think Brian Shelton had the best line, or we had the best subscriber line of the weekend when Brian Shelton froze for the 4th time during the pre-match show and someone named him Brian Buffering Shelton. I thought that might be the greatest name that is arguably going to stick. It beat the AOL bomber because that was the second best line that came in. There are some real good ones. So if you can get them in, and while we're at it, let's say hello across the pond. Hello to Chris, our friend back home, back in Ireland at this point, due to some things here. Chris, great to have you in the chat as always, and wishing you and the Reds a happy end to this campaign. So, before we bring in tonight's special guest, Mr. Bickler, how was your weekend and how are you?
My weekend was great. Let's see. I lost an AirPod on Friday night. Don't ask me how. I woke up Saturday morning and realized I'm 41, not 21. So I spent the entire day Saturday feeling terrible and recuperating. And then yesterday I worked a full bar, which was interesting with the game going on. I had to rewatch it. We went up and essentially we went up in the injury time, and the guy at the front of the bar asked if he could watch some crappy University of Birmingham, Alabama basketball game, and so I was like, yeah, no problem, I'll miss this. And then I looked down at my phone and I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So
Sergi jumped in. Sergi's jumped in with smash that like button, share and subscribe. So I mean, I guess when somebody asks for something, I don't think we can actually hold it from them. So we'll make sure and get a little bit of that a little later in the program for them. As always, we appreciate the audio tips all the way from Ireland. Please keep them coming. Trying to pull that back. Let me know if that isn't any better. Looks like it is better. So we have our production team happening all the way across the pond. We appreciate you as always. And Brian Shelton wants everyone to know he is still buffering. Brian is still waiting for United's fourth goal to actually score. At some point, ESPN Plus is going to catch up in the Shelton household, and he's going to be really, really angry. But before we speak about anger, let's talk about some of the positive things that are happening here at American Scouser. We have launched our Patreon site. We're really excited about this. Patreon is an opportunity for us to continue to grow, offer additional content. We have membership options that range from $1 all the way up to, I believe our highest level is $39 per month. But part of what you get as this is a shout out on the pod. You get some additional content at different levels, up to and including a special guest appearance. So let's start with our first round of shout outs. We'll start with our $1 contributors. They are our official supporters. We greatly appreciate you. $1 a month will help us a great deal over the years. So PRB, they use initials because, well, if I were contributing to this lot of Benjamin, I probably wouldn't want my name on it either. But PRB, we definitely appreciate you. Michelle Balecki, thank you for your contribution and for donating some of your husband's time. The Drinking Inside the Box podcast, fitting for me coming off of St. Patrick's Day weekend. Really appreciate your support. At the $5 level, you'll notice some of these names. They are regular contributors into the programming. We have Stephen Cook, John Bolito, who is a big part of our morning shows and does a lot of our shorts, as well as Houston's very own weatherman, Alan Walnut. Thank you for your contribution. At the main stand level is our very own Polish prince, Matusz. And then, of course, coming in on the cop at our second highest level is Sir Z, a frequent member of the morning shows, commenter, and of course has the best ridiculous backgrounds of any of our pre-match shows. And then last but not least, our first Director's Box Patreon subscriber. As a Patreon subscriber at the Director's Box, you get everything, including one-on-one questions. You get shout outs. You even get to appear on a Monday night podcast, and we're going to make that dream. This young Scouser once had a dream when he came to America. He had two dreams, actually. One, become an American citizen. Two, do a podcast with Paul Blickler.
He's right.
Oh, shit. Look at this guy.
I just need to do this so I can see Bickle as a real person.
So I'm immediately self-conscious that my teeth aren't white enough.
And as you should be. As you should be. Look at me. I am the Bobby Firmino incarnate. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They're beautiful. They are.
So for many of our followers and contributors over the years, as Alan Walnut jumps in, hello, Kazi. Somehow he just got his inner working early Howard Stern right there. But we are going to get into the match. We're going to have some fun with Kazi's teeth. Let's not kid ourselves. You can't come in. There is initiation into every single gang, even if you pay for it. But in all seriousness, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you for all you've been doing. You've been helping us with pre-match. You've been a good contributor and a friend of the program for as long as we've been doing this, and one of the first people that were on here with us. So let's jump at it, right? We are going to get to this match. But unfortunately for you, Paul, the viewers pay.
Oh.
And Kazi paid for trivia. So he's going to get some trivia. I will tell you, I was given the BJ trivia. Okay. And I got so confused when I read it. It was about own goals and number of own goals. And last time we had double own goals. And I honestly thought to myself there was a better chance of me asking Paul his birthday and him getting it right. And that was still a 50-50 shot. So I completely scrapped it. So we're going to talk an awful lot about yesterday's match, obviously. A tough match, a match where Liverpool led twice and lost, which hasn't happened in quite a long time. So my question for you two gents today is, is, can you tell me the last time Liverpool led a football match twice within 90 minutes and did not leave that football match the victor? And we won't do this all night, so we won't bore everyone to death. We'll continue to bring up some of the other funny comments like Kazi Firmino and those teeth. I mean, your dentist really should be plugged. We used to have a spot where we thank Bickler's therapist each and every single week. Now I think we have to thank Kazi's dentist for your appearances.
Hey, Bournemouth away?
It was Bournemouth away. It's actually after that match.
We did it again.
Did we have a 3-2 with City?
Yeah,
I thought it was that one as well, but we were up 1-0, and then we were down 3-1, then we lost 3-2.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say if it's not, so it's after, so it's 2016. It's got to be 2017, 2018 when we were still in our crazy phase, weren't we? It's probably not. Oh God, it's not a cup game.
We'll give it a minute or two here, and then I'll give you the clue here. It is not a Premier League game. It was a European matchup.
Oh fuck me! In the Champions League, yeah, it's got to be. Let's Bison didn't win. So we might have threw the game. Is that what you're telling me?
We did lose this game. That's what I'm saying. We had 2 leads and we lost it.
So if it was 27-18, we weren't in Europe. We were in the Europa League, weren't we?
Was it Atalanta?
No.
It was not Atalanta.
Beat them 5-0.
But we are getting warmer.
Yeah, but it's going to be... Oh, fuck me. It's got to be 27-2018, surely.
It's brutal. You're not wrong, guys. We're gonna. It wasn't Madrid. We're gonna call it here because someone in the chat did get it right. So I want to give them their credit where the credit is due. Chris got it right with the Champions League. It was Roma's second leg, and it's a tough one, right? Because you forget it because we go up early. Mane scores. We're already up 5-2, I think, going into the tie.
Yeah, Wijnaldum scores a header on his first goal. Yeah.
And we end up basically going down 2-1. We go up 1-0. It's 1-1. We go up 2-1. They win 4-2 with the late penalty, and then we have to squeak it out because it's 6-7 on aggregate. But they would have went through on their road goals had they gotten the other one. So it was a really, really interesting one. And honestly, I was doing the research going back, and then I had to look at the date and realized it was the 2018 semifinal. That's how long this team has gone before they do something like capitulate 2 different leads. So before we get to how the match happened and what occurred, let's start with the lineup when it came out. Kazi, I'm going to start with you here as our guest today. I think we talked about this. Feel like this is just about the strongest we could have went to start yesterday's match. Would there have been anything you might have done, even with hindsight? I'll give you hindsight. Would you have done anything massively different with this starting 11 for this match against United? Probably
not. The argument's Bradley for Gomez, isn't it? That's probably the one conversation we can probably have here. But I think that game against Slavia Prague was the first game he's done 90 minutes, Bradley, I think it was the first one he's done a full 90 in since he's actually come into the team. So maybe that's what the manager's thinking there. But I thought Gomez was actually quite good in the game anyway. So I didn't think there's any problem. So no, super strong for me. Well, hindsight's a funny thing. Gravenberch getting 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. But at that, then you're just pushing the boat out, aren't you? Really, let's get it right. It was a strong side, wasn't it?
Bickler, how about you? I know you had some question about Szoboszlai. You've talked up playing Gakpo over Diaz at times recently based on form and thinking it was a way to get Gakpo back into it. What would you have done differently, if anything, had you picked the starting lineup to this match?
So this is obviously, I think this is the best available lineup with the most emphasis on veteran leadership. I think this is the best lineup. I personally, and this is going to be super controversial, I would have started Gakpo and I would have started Harvey for Szoboszlai. But I just am one of those people that thinks Szoboszlai is I like him off the bench right now. And I don't think Harvey did enough to lose his spot. And I think all Harvey does is create opportunities. And I think United's a weird team. That is a weird midfield. And there's a huge bank before that back four. there's a big gap there. I mean, I like Harvey back there exposing that sort of consistently. I know that's not going to be a popular take. I thought first half set up the way we play for a player like Gakpo too.
Did Harvey need a break though? Did Harvey need a break? The legs he's been running off the last 6-8 weeks. If you're the manager, do you know what I mean?
But he's been being brought off the bench. So I mean, last match, in Prague, he only put on 30 minutes.
That's fair. I think that's fair. But I think the eye for Harvey is he comes on and impacts it, doesn't he? So the manager's he can probably sit there and go, "Well, I was right to do that one." Do you know what I mean? But I agree with you. He's been excellent. And
but if you're in second half, would you rather have Harvey off the bench or Szoboszlai off the bench?
It's tough, man, because Harvey comes on and scores and creates. So that's right. We can have what we want or we like, but the manager will sit there and go, my job worked, mate. He was great, and he needs to break the kid. You know what I mean? I don't know if the kid's going away for the under-21s. I'm not sure. Or I have no idea if he's being picked for England. I don't know. But
I'm pretty sure all the youth kids were. I think Harvey was picked. Kwanzaa was picked. I think they were all actually picked to go off.
It's one, isn't it? And also, Szoboszlai, I know what you're saying because Szoboszlai's pens as well. I'm assuming he's a better penalty taker than Harvey. Yes. It's a coin toss, that one. It is a coin toss, I think.
Yeah, I personally thought that you could make the argument for the Harvey Elliott start there for the importance of the match. To your point, Kazi, it is 2 weeks off after this, and what he does with the under-21s doesn't really chafe us, right? And at the end of the day, you don't want the kid hurt. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to. Galley's, I can see it now. People are in the comments. Galley's running kids into the ground. He hates kids asking for jerseys, and he wants them hurt. At the end of the day here, I really think I do feel like this is one of the few matches we'll get to it. Let's talk about the tactics at the beginning of the match. United came out flying. I think we all thought that if they were going to attack early, it might be right from the first whistle. I do think Ten Hag got his lineup right, and he had to, and he put his tactics out there in a good way. He used the Manu kid, or Manu, however the hell you pronounce it. Class is how it should be pronounced, because him and Garnacho are head and shoulders the best players in the entire side, and it's not even close. It's the reason Ten Hag will still be there in the summer, is that they're actually bleeding in young kids that look like they could be worth being there, and maybe that gives them till January next year. Let's not kid ourselves. United wasn't great, and we were bang average for the first 20 minutes, off the pace. Yet, gentlemen, we still find ourselves 2-1 up and a goal chalked off for a shoulder that might have been an elbow and really shouldn't have even been offside. So was it more about what United did early, or was it that we started slow once again in one of these kind of big matches on the road? I'll start with you on that one, Paul, and then we'll come to Kazi for his opinion on it after.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just kind of think, there's just so much energy in these rivalry games. I think it's really easy to look at the squad and say it's a shit side. It really is a shit side, but there's a universal equalizer in these matches, these big rivalry games. And no matter, it used to be the same thing when they used to come to Anfield. Remember when we were shit and they come to Anfield and we'd play them toe to toe? It's the same thing. You got to look at their season. This is all they have. So you knew they were going to come out, right? You knew they were going to come out. I think we did a good job sort of absorbing that first punch. And to United's credit, what I counted on us getting a third goal pretty quickly, because generally speaking, in quick succession, when they go down in big moments, they have hung their heads this season. And to their credit, they didn't.
Yeah, I think it's I'm with you. I think it's full credit to United, to be fair. I think they come out and got it right. I think they've had to come out and capitalise on the atmosphere. They can't get Liverpool just get on the ball within the first 5 minutes and start, because you kill the crowd like that within 15 minutes because Liverpool haven't let you touch the ball, and then it's a dead game, and then Liverpool just go on and win the game 3-4-0, being comfortable. So you have to get on the front foot and start well. And I agree with Bickler. It reminded me so much of when I was growing up as a kid, of being the shit team and just wanting to beat United, and we had nothing to play for, and they were going for everything, and the best thing we could do is land a glove on them and just damage them a bit, and they'll still win the league anyway. So that's what it was like. So it did remind me a lot of that. But I think it's full credit to United. But there's a part where I think in the game, Liverpool, from about 25 on, get the foot on the ball, and they look like they're controlling it a bit. And we do start building up pressure without really having big chances. I felt like we were a lot more controlling. I thought the midfield for the first 20 got overrun all over the place. I thought we just got over, which is... It's surprising for Liverpool to even say that we got overrun in midfield, because this season's been a strong point, really. Again, I know, Gary, we spoke about him, we'll get on to the injuries, but we missed Jones massively in that kind of game. Just someone, bit of a cool head, just to get on the ball and play an easy pass. And you got Szoboszlai just doing crazy Szoboszlai things at times, just making these crazy darting runs, and you're like, can't you just sit in for 10 minutes? Yeah. Just fucking sit in.
I think that's where my frustration with the Szoboszlai, or maybe me screaming for Elliott, is that I watch him consistently put himself in positions that he doesn't need to be in and attack when he shouldn't. You remember when we used to make fun of Darwin, and not even make fun of him, we would just be maddening that he would press when you don't press. No one else would press, and he would just sprint straight to the front, and you'd be like, this isn't going to work. And I think Szoboszlai does that at times, where he doesn't help himself, and then he leaves himself, and then he's kind of lazy on the defensive end. And because he makes the sticks and tricks, I always remember a match a few years back where Jones literally did a step over and tried to like turn the ball in on the end line. And as he did it to a defender who was rushing behind him, took it off him, and went in on goal. And I said, that's why he's not ever going to be a midfielder here. He'll never know the job. And to his credit, I'll raise my hand. I was totally wrong. It was 2.5 years ago, and the kid's gotten so much better. But we missed him so much. And we missed his composure because, for me, McAllister was trying to do a lot. You can see the class he offers you going forward. He creates goals. He scores goals. He can do everything. And Endo just is Endo. He's just a machine. Like, I just feel like he knows 5 words. It's like, I tackle, I Endo, tackle, pass left, right. Like it, and it works. I think in some ways Szoboszlai is starting to, like, we finally found a little metronome that works in that midfield. And I think at times his unpredictability is causing problems for players in front of him and behind him. And I think when those players are Gomez and a kid, it's not helping anybody. And I think that's part of where my struggle with him. And I feel like they were targeting specifically Szoboszlai in our midfield for those first 20 minutes. And that just seemed like it was their exact goal and mindset. And there was nothing we could seem to do about it. Paul, when it comes to the front three, who also had a very quiet first half, even though they got themselves on the score sheet, Darwin gets the assist, takes the shot for the deflection that leads to Mo's goal. No, Darwin got the assist for the first goal.
I mean, I know people are counting the second one. That's not an assist. Can we just against modern football bullshit? And I'm going to go on my soapbox for a second. If a goalkeeper deflects a shot into a striker's path, the attacker does not get the assist. I'm ruling that out now. Thank you.
No, the first one was his assist. Nice little layoff to McAllister, and it takes a massive deflection.
Yeah.
The second goal takes, a save that's paired out right into in an easy tap in, similar to what happened with United's goal, right? Kelleher makes a good save, but can't get the ball anywhere but right up in the air right there, and we're ball watching. What was it about the front three? Was it Diaz too much on the ball? Was it Nunez being kind of not in sync with Mo like we've seen so much recently? What was it in that first half? Because though we were up 2-1, never really felt like we were making the right decision in the final third across the whole front three.
Right. I felt like I think a lot of it just came down to, like, this is one of the very few times you ever see Mo look average, right? Or off the boil. And that's what I thought. I thought Mo just it's like he never kind of took off in this match the way that you'd expect him to take off. So I think that was definitely part of it. I actually thought Diaz was pretty good. I mean, Diaz, it's just the finishing with him, right? And like we've gone into this before about how it's maddening. I thought he gives you everything he's got, though. I thought the left side I thought this is one of the better matches with Diaz and Robertson combining that we've seen in a long time. Like, they looked like two players that wanted to play, genuinely enjoyed playing with each other. I think what part of the problem is like we watch Mo get the ball, right, and he picks it up in that final third and he's on goal, right? With Diaz, part of the problem is when he picks it up, he's on the other side of the halfway line, dribbles at 60 yards, and by the time he gets to the box, like, I don't know how much gas he's got left. But I think for me, it was just it looked like a tired Mo, and like it kind of goes back to, like, I was very, very against him starting versus Prague. I know it's a second leg. I know it's at Anfield. I know people come to see this. It's a European game, and I just was considering the run, considering what was on the table, and considering the match that was like 72 hours away, I was just against him starting that match. And I thought it really kind of had a domino effect. Him getting stuck into a situation where he had played 90 that match, come into this match, and then play another 70 plus. I think he just looked tired.
Kazi, do you think that the fact that it was the start of Ramadan and that he was fasting for a game that was mid-afternoon, I know that he wasn't going to international breaks, but if he genuinely hasn't ate or drank literally the day of the match, and I've never done it, so I'm the first one to ask. I don't know how much it affects him. I've heard players say it can affect you. Do you think there was a minutes restriction, or do you think this was a tactical move by the manager thinking we were okay where we were at and we were going to see this thing out?
I don't know, man. I don't think it's Ramadan, mate, because we've seen him do it before and he's been fantastic. I think what he missed a lot, mate, was a fucking right back bombing past him. And just because I thought he got doubled up a lot. I thought, and that was credit to United, by the way, because you should double up Mo Salah in any game of football, in my opinion. So, and again, that's where the Gomez argument is. It's tough, isn't it? Because he barely gets over the halfway line at times, and sometimes you're just like, we give him Mo the ball with like a long diag from Virgil, and then he's got two men on him, and it's like there's only so much a man can do still, even though he's a great player. He does need that overlap coming in. Do you know what I mean? But the front three, mate, as much as Mo, of course, didn't have his best game, but Darwin Núñez was dog shit, weren't he? Whatever you like it or not, let's get it's the fact he was shit. He was absolutely garbage. And whether we, he couldn't run. It looked like he couldn't run after 70. It looked like he had nothing left. And you're like, and he's another one. He's been kind of ran into the ground a little bit. I know he hasn't long came back from injury, and he's still building fitness up. It just felt like, do you know if that United game was in 2 weeks, we'll batter them. Do you know that? It was just the timing was perfect for them. And we'll get on to Liverpool being complacent second half. I thought we were really poor second half. I thought we just controlled the ball. It was like fucking men against boys at times that we wish we weren't attacking. It was like keep ball. It's like when you play with the kids who are 3 years older than you in school and they just keep the ball and you can't do anything. That's what it felt like us. So we felt that complacency from the Reds, but it still kind of comes down to it that you're like, you're in control of the football match, lads. You understand that how big it is to win at Old Trafford. Most people don't do it 3-4 times in the whole career. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think Gerrard probably done 5 times and he's at Liverpool for 16, 17 years. Do you know what I mean? Or whatever it was. So, I don't know, man. It just feels like opportunity missed, but there's some performances there, mate, with the top players, like a Darwin, who's been in great form. He really has been in good form. He's poor, really poor. Szoboszlai was poor. And it feels like to me, guys, I don't know what you, I just feel like it was a step too far. I thought these lads have been performing on the skin for 8 weeks, and it just felt like a step too far. It's Old Trafford away, and it's just a step too far. The manager had no sub. Let's get Robbie Clark as a sub. I'm sorry. He shouldn't be an option. The kid's got talent, but he shouldn't be an option for Liverpool right now.
Right. As
Liverpool are going for 4 trophies. That a kid should be on loan at Wolves, looking the business, or on loan at Brighton and looking the business. That's what the kid should be. But right now, these are fucking first or second sub, mate. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like a step too far for everyone, to be honest.
Paul, look at obviously bring up just the kind of the starting lineups here, the players. Obviously, these were the lineups to start. I don't really care for I'm not a big fan of the ratings. They have their own mechanisms for how they come up with these ratings. I can understand it. I don't think anyone was that strong in the back for us. We look good at times. We gave up a lot of opportunities. Let's be honest, guys. They should have scored a lot more goals than they did. I mean, Rashford, we put 3 of them on a plate for him to win the match. It took the third one of those for him to tie it, right? The second time. And then they get the winner, which comes off another massive mistake by us. I mean, we handed them 2 of them after they gave us the big deflections. The reason I brought this up was what surprised me was that, to Kazi's point earlier, they really, in my opinion, won this match or even kept this match close between McTominay and Manu in midfield. And those two outplaying really in some ways, Szoboszlai and Endo, or Szoboszlai and Mac, however you wanted to look at it, at times in the center of that pitch. Bruno Fernandes does what he does. I do want to get both of your opinions. Do you feel Bruno Fernandes should have been sent off for the second foul where he goes in? It was a tough one for me because I see it and I think if it's against us, and it's Endo doing that after getting a yellow in the first half, we're like, it's ball on ball. It's actually a pretty good tackle. He gets him. Because it's Bruno Fernandes, I think it is easy to jump on. Kazi, I'll start with you. You've watched this game a long time. Do you think the captain of United in an FA Cup tie between Liverpool and United gets sent off there usually? Is that a red card for you?
And by the rules, it's a red card. I think he's left the ground because he's left the ground with the way his foot was placed. No, it's not. If his other legs grounded, but he wasn't grounded when he actually made connection. He's not grounded, so it's a sending off. But not just that. I think his consistent fucking moaning and his abuse of the referee. He should have gone anyway. He should have been just because he was already booked and he just continued to moan throughout the game. When we seen Virgil van Dijk tell the referee to F off at Newcastle away and he gets suspended for an extra game because the way he spoke to the ref. But Bruno Fernandes was doing that all game. I'm not here to, again, for me, it's a sending off if you're following the rules. McAllister got sent off for a straight red early on the season. That got rescinded, of course, which wasn't even a booking. And it's like, so there's only so much, and they have VAR, by the way. It's not like they're not looking at this in real time. They still are looking at this in real time, and you can correct that. The issue is no, again, it's not VAR, it's the rules of the game. VAR probably looked at that back and went, ooh, that's a yellow. But they can't tell the ref when it's a yellow or not. They can only tell straight reds. Do you know what I mean? So probably even the VAR will be sitting there going, ooh, you know what I mean? Ooh, that's one of them, that one. You know, but they can't go to the ref, hey, this is another yellow. They only can do it for the other red, of course. So for me, it's a sending off for me all day in the rule books these days anyway.
Paul, what about you? Would you have seen that as a second yellow? If it was against Liverpool, could you have seen yourself arguing that that's a soft second yellow to send a guy off on?
Yes and yes, but I think like we've consistently seen the bar for the second yellow be substantially higher, right? Which is, I mean, that's not why they've created that rule, man. Like you know, like so. But I think that's. So was I shocked that we didn't get it? Absolutely not, right? But like, yeah, I'm with Kazi there. I think it's a second yellow for sure. And like Kazi said, I mean, that's sort of the Achilles heel of this entire system is there's no VAR review for anything like that for yellow, right? I mean, and we're looking at, you know, I was watching the West Ham match and that Zaniolo kid for West Ham clearly throws the ball away out of bounds and he's on a yellow and gets nothing like in the 83rd minute. So it's like, I mean, we're kind of, I think the second yellow thing, they haven't really been consistent in some of these policies, especially with like dissent. They said they were going to do this year, throwing the ball away, all that stuff. But yeah, that threshold for that second yellow just feels different, which it shouldn't.
That's what Gally got back to the point though with the second yellow. He sends the kid off for taking his shirt off for scoring the 120th minute, 4-3 against your biggest rivals. But he sends that kid off for a second yellow for taking his fucking shirt off. The kid still got hold of his shirt, and like he lost it. The kid still got hold of his shirt, but you send him off for that. Fucking give it, like there's in a moment where even as Liverpool fans, we can all sit there and go, fucking hell, if Conor Bradley did it. You'd be like,
you know, that kid was like, fuck it, I wasn't starting next match anyway.
that kid will be back at Sunderland next year. Even I was like, I felt sorry for you there, kid. I genuinely feel sorry for you. Sitting there watching the game going,
that's a ridiculous rule, too.
It's a joke of a rule. As a second yellow as well, by the way. It's almost second yellows. It's a joke of a rule. It's emotion, man. It's football.
That's the part I hate. They'll send you off for the technicality of that, but they'll guard you when you go into a legs up challenge and you get the ball, but you come straight through and you take a player out behind them. And it's just a clear, any other time it's going to be a yellow, right? Any other time, any other part on the pitch, but because he has one, he gets the pass on it. But some kid takes his shirt off and therefore he sees it.
It's especially crazy with a player like Bruno who's like morally bankrupt. So it's not like he was just going in for a hard challenge.
I know. This is the part about the second yellow arguments, and I get your discussion. They sent Dallow off in the Liverpool United game for telling the referee to fuck off after he got booked, which wasn't a booking. So we got a booking, which wasn't a booking. If you look at the tackle back, and he goes, well, fuck off, ref. And he sends him anyway. And he's just like, but the Bruno one isn't a second yellow. It's just, you know what I mean?
I mean, to be honest, I personally thought Bruno was really close, and he called him over at one point to calm him down because, like, the moment after he got the first yellow for not getting the penalty, when he went crazy when he wanted the penalty, and then he went absolutely apoplectic that they didn't go back and look at it, or the handball or whatever it was, and it wasn't anywhere close. And he gives him the yellow, and then he's throwing his arms at him, and he's like, if you're worth your weight in gold there, if you're an actual, see, and that's where, if that's Anthony Taylor, he sends him off because he did warn him. He's like, no more. No. And he's still waving his arms at him. But that referee's never going to do that in that spot, in that game, in that situation. And then he proves it when the flashpoint happens a few minutes later. So let's fast forward to the second half. It's 2-1. We get to second half. Obviously, we start to see some of the substitutions start to be made. You see them up here on the screen right around the 70th minute. No goal scored to that point, so we're still a 2-1 KG affair. Kazi, you see the board go up, and you recognize that it's Mo Salah coming off.
Yeah.
Honestly, what were the words that were coming out in Nevada?
The manager, right? We've given him full credit all season. I'm his biggest fan, and of course we all are. Some of his decision making in this game is insanity. The Salah one I didn't get because he's your penalty taker. That's another one. Right. It's you're going to put him on a pen. So I don't know. He wasn't having his best game. I argue that. Like, no problem at all. But if you want to get Gakpo on, do him in the 8 if you want. Like, you've done him in midfield, a few substitute appearances, do him in the 8. The one thing, and we'll get on to Cody, is a completely separate topic, I'm sure, because his performance is poor as well. But at least he's got legs. He does run. Like, he is quick. Do you know what I mean? At least that gives you another option, apart from the Bobby Clark option later on in the day. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't know, mate. It didn't make sense to me. I thought, again, the second half, we were just so complacent and so lackadaisical and just really not nice to watch. And you're like, I don't think you understand the privileged position you're in to be 2-1 up at Old Trafford, and you're just stroking the ball around like it's a fucking testimonial when you should be putting your foot on the neck here and really hitting them. I always remember I'm sure you guys remember when Salah gets the hat-trick in the 5-0, and it's Robertson in the celebration going, let's go, keep going. Like, he understands the position you're in. Like, this is a moment where you can really hurt them here and go 3-4-1 up and really hurt them. But Liverpool let them back into the game, mate, and that's why we are where we are right now, and the manager has a lot of explaining to do for the Salah sub. I think he has a lot of explaining to do for a couple, really. The Bobby Clark one, does he bring the kid on for 5 minutes to take a penalty away at Old Trafford? Is that what we're having a chat about? Do you know what I mean? Really? 5 minutes of extra time at Old Trafford with the kid probably didn't touch the ball.
I honestly think Kazi, and I read this somewhere, Luis Diaz is like 1 for 7 in his professional career at penalties. I think he took Diaz off to genuinely save him from having to even attempt the penalty.
So you can't do Gravenberch for 5 minutes?
Well, but this is my argument was I think Gravenberch should have been on. Or if he's healthy and fit for the bench, he needs to come on when you need a midfielder to actually drive forward. And it should have been before 5 minutes left. See, I'm with you. I think Darwin needed to come off much earlier because, and come to find out, he did have an injury now. He's going to be out for a little bit with a hamstring. It was a hamstring injury that he had. It doesn't matter. There's no excuse for the mistake in the extra time. But to your point, we saw he was gassed before 90, and you got him out there tracking back, trying to defend in extra time, making mistakes, giving up goals. And that is not a defense of his idiotic play.
I know you're not defending him, right? I know this is going to be a passionate subject tonight as well. But there's an argument here where you could just fucking take Darwin for Gakpo and put Salah down the middle and save his legs that way. And go to Salah, you're going to have to play down the middle here. Do you know what I mean? Because we need Gakpo. He's quicker right now than you. If you're trying to conserve energy. And before anyone puts in the chat, by the way, he played 90 against Sparta. Salah didn't fucking make one sprint in the second half. If you actually watch the game, he didn't make a sprint. If he ran more than 3K in the second half, I'd be fucking amazed. That guy managed his minutes so well in that 90. It was unreal. But that's why. So I think the manager's kind of got it wrong. Probably for the first time this season, I think he's got a subs wrong. Because I think we all agree this is the manager's best ever season in terms of tactically and the subs and what he's managed to do. But it's a tough one, man. But I didn't get the Salah sub. I still don't.
So Paul, let me ask you about a different sub that happened earlier when the decision was made to bring on, when Connor Bradley came on, right? And as he comes on the pitch, you realize he's coming on for Robertson. And the most confused person is Robertson because he literally had that look like I just ate a fart out of another player. And he was like, what? He did this. He goes, like Gomez just got booked for clearing out Rashford, has a yellow. We're going into potentially, if we concede extra time, and the answer is to move the right back on a yellow over to left back and take off Robertson. Do you think that was Robertson was out of gas? Klopp felt that he just didn't have enough minutes left in him. genuinely there. And again, we're taking off a guy. Not that Andy Robertson is the guy I want shooting on goal at any moment, even from 12 yards out. But I think I want him over Joe Gomez shooting from 12 yards out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't get it. I think this starts to feel like, like when things start to spiral a little bit and it feels like you're falling down the well in Alice in Wonderland. Like, how do you think if you have and you can feel this in a game, right? Like as a player, you can feel this. And when your manager motions over and you see the sum come off, who's like specific position and he's pulling another position off. Like, I think as a team, you got to kind of be like, what the fuck is going on right now? Like, do you know what I mean? And I think like we kind of slowly degenerated. Typically, like, I feel like United kind of did what we used to do to City, where like they fucking like sandbagged that shit, and we almost like came down and started playing with them, instead of just like fucking making them come up and play. Like I felt like we did that with all that possession, and then they just dragged us into the fucking gutter, and we just like we didn't have a response, and we were tired legs, and we made weird substitutions, and everything was just fucking weird, including that weird ass midfield. Like they're just United is such a weird team right now.
So, Kazi, I'll ask you this. The first goal that they score when
Rashford,
they level it to make it 2-2, the Anthony goal.
Yeah.
Right? It's a weird little deflection. Nobody really covers themselves really well. But to be fair to Anthony, and we've made lots of jokes to his detriment, right? It is a very, very, very good first touch to get the ball out of his foot, and an even better finish to get it past Kelleher and keep it inside the post. Is this on maybe that complacency setting in? Yeah. Was it the central defenders kind of falling asleep in that moment? Where was the breakdown there?
I think it's complacency, Phil. I just think we were all complacent second half. I was far too relaxed at 2-1 in second half, boys. I don't know about you. I was fucking sitting here going, I don't like this. I want to be on edge. I want to be, okay, this is like the worst thing in the world. But because we have felt so in possession, it felt like we were playing like Exeter City in a cup tie away from home. That's what it felt like at times. You're just like, this isn't like what it's meant to be like. It's interesting actually, that graphic, because I just thought about that graphic there. Because you brought up the great point about Anthony. So Anthony comes on, looks like the manager, then after 5 minutes later makes the Gomez sub. Is he worried about Anthony? Really? You don't trust Costas to do the job for you at left back? You don't trust the left back? He's played really well this season to do the job at left back to mark Anthony. Are we having this? Because if you can't trust him to mark Anthony, sell the fucker. Because if you can't...
Well, I think that is where we're at, because I think at this point he's almost been relegated to the third choice left back, because it's your left back and then your backup right back.
But he's been fantastic though. He's been really good. Like, that's what I'm saying. This is on the manager then, on the new manager to work out at least next year. What the fuck is your Costas argument, fella? Because to me, for the 12, 15 games he played, he was pretty good. And he won us a cup, and he was really good. I thought he was excellent. And here's how bad it was. When he was injured, we were all gutted. When he got injured, we were like, fucking hell, Costas is out. It's the first time in my life I've ever said that. Like, who's asked? Who was asked that Costas Tsimikas was injured for Liverpool? No one give a fuck. But so he's came in, he's improved. He brings on Anthony. He's probably the most out of form winger in the league. And then you can't trust him to do a job, so you've got to put the lad you've ran the legs off for 8 weeks, who's been injury prone for 5 years. You want to put him playing left back instead.
It is also your centre back depth.
He's also, even though you signed the second choice left back for 10 million quid, but you don't want to play him against the most out. I don't get it. That's what I'm saying. This is the one game when I've got to question the manager a little bit and go, just want to know what you're thinking on that one. What was you thinking there? Do you know what I mean? And we'll get to extra time in a second, because the last goal will live along with me in the memory of a stupidity of Liverpool Football Club. But I've got no issues with the goal, by the way, United's goal. It's just a great goal. And I'm okay with conceding great goals. The lad's got a lot of work to do. He has a lot of work to do to score. And if he does a lot of work and he puts it in that corner against a really good keeper, fair enough. But the issue comes from not the defending for the goal, the attacking from 45 to 70 of like just controlling the game. That's where my bigger issue is, more than the United goal, really.
Paul, let's get into extra time. We get there, right? We get through. They score the goal. We don't get the equalizer. We get to extra time at 2-2. I know we were in our Discord channel. There were a lot of people in there. You know, Maka from the pregame show at 2-2, he immediately said, we're going to lose this match. He flat out thought we would lose in extra time. Didn't even think it would get close. They'd take the lead. Just felt like they had the momentum, and we had kind of run our race, took our star players off. As extra time proceeded, after Harvey gets the deflected goal, at 3-2, did you feel like we had done enough there as long as the lads now kept their heads? Or did you think that there was still a really good puncher's chance that United was going to get that opportunity and probably take one of those opportunities that, you know, luckily Rashford gave back to us at the end of regulation twice?
I feel like you're asking me if I watched the match or not, because if we're at Old Trafford and we've already conceded twice and we're playing like shite the entire time, I don't feel good at 3-2. Anything is possible. I think this was the first match that I can really remember. And this is not, I don't want people to, this is going to sound like a knock on the player. It's not a knock on the player, but this is the first time where I really thought like, okay, let's look at this team in injury time. You've got like Nunez, Gakpo, Elliott, Bradley, McAllister, Endo out there. How many of those guys have played together beyond this year?
No idea.
Do you know what I mean? In a big-time moment, in a huge match that means everything for United in the biggest stage that you could possibly be on. I just feel like it was like there's not enough collective experience between them as a unit playing together. And that's what it felt like to me. It was the first time that I really missed Genie, because I felt like this game needed a player that could take the ball in
I was just about to say,
soak up possession and just really recycle possession in a smart way, right? I feel like there's no need when you're tired to try to play hero ball, to try to get, to try to force the ball into the half spaces, like just retain possession, but do it in dangerous areas, right? And I just felt like we could never kind of pull that together.
Brian Shelton says Curtis Jones, and I couldn't agree with him more. He also adds in, a big regret. It was both the 5v2 and the 4v2 and not even getting a shot off. And on one of those, Nunez makes a really good run, and Diaz completely makes the wrong pass and goes Mo's side. On the other one is the Gakpo one where you're like, and you can see it. And I think we have to talk about Gakpo a little bit here for all the talk that's been on social media. And I know you guys are huge fans of him. I love the player, but I still need to see it working better in this Liverpool setup. I think it worked last year, and I think it can work. And he's one of those ones. I think the next manager has a few big decisions, and I think Cody Gakpo, Luis Diaz are probably two of the biggest ones right off the rip, because they're formation players to me. Depends on what type of formation and tactics you want to play. So let's talk about Gakpo, because in that specific moment, it's almost a microcosm.
Yeah.
He literally has Mo on the right, or he can cross to Darwin wide open on the back post on the left, and he goes at goal on his own, and it's really like probably the worst of all options. When Craig Burley's calling you out for a bad decision quickly and everyone in the world is agreeing with you, it was probably pretty obvious. So, Paul, I'll start with you, former guy who played in the box. When you get lost as an attacker, and maybe you don't have a link up really with any one player on the pitch right now that makes you feel comfortable, how do you get that synergy back?
I mean, for me, I always felt like it was easiest to just act as a facilitator for other people. And that's the opposite of what, you want to do, because you want goals, right? And I think that's the thing, though. I think, we've talked about this. If he could just simplify his game and do what he's good at, like he's good with his back to goal. And on the break, he's good. He's a dynamic player that knows how to find players and be direct. And I just think he's lost that confidence. And I think that confidence is really sort of what makes you make the right decision there, whether they go on goal or to give it up, right? Because if you're not confident, you're doing what you think you should do for the best outcome, which isn't always the right call. So I think it's just difficult when you're short on confidence. And, for Gakpo, and this is a testament to Harvey too, I think Gakpo and Harvey are two players that Klopp has sort of played positional roulette with and just sort of slotted in. And we've talked about this in past pods. I think that's really unfair to Cody Gakpo, who people forget is the same age as Darwin. He's got a different pedigree, but I think it's very, very hard for a player like him to come in who came up in specifically almost one system, come into a new system and then be played all over the place. I think it's, I mean, for Klopp and all his genius and all we love about him as a manager, I think he does struggle to make some decisions in terms of squad management standpoints. And I feel like he's just insisted on getting him into these lineups and sometimes not in the best areas for his development. And in the process, I feel like it's a player that's lost his identity.
Brian Shelton says, Gakpo is lost as I would be playing 5 different positions in a season. So, Kazi, I'll ask you the question this way, as I know a big fan of the player.
Yeah.
What is his best position, and can he play that position in Jurgen Klopp's system?
It's so tough. To be honest, I don't know what his best position is. I have no idea. I don't know. And I like the lad a lot. I really do. I think he's like shot to bits. His confidence is shot to bits. And I agree with the versatility part as well. It's like the Gomez thing, isn't it? Gomez wants to play centre half. He doesn't want to play left back, does he? Do you know what I mean? But it just is what it is. So he kind of becomes a spare part for the manager. And listen, you do need those type of players. But there's a part where the kid's 24. And I don't know. I don't think Liverpool are evolving into a different kind of team without him. And he's still like a reminder of the old, like the Firmino role, for example. I say it all the time, by the way. Mo Salah went from playing with the most genius football player in the world to the thickest football player in the world with Darwin Núñez. And it's like, and people go, why is Mo playing, play him in there? Because he has no idea what he's going to do. He has no idea what Luis Diaz or Darwin Núñez is going to do off the ball for him to play a pass to them. Because he's like, oh, sometimes you want it to feet, then you fucking run the 60 yards that way. I have no idea. You're like a kid in a playground. So it's difficult. But where Gakpo, I actually think there's a thing there where you can go, well, I can work with him. The reason why I feel so sorry for Gakpo is that we watched out Luis Diaz struggle for 6 months, 8 months to get form back, but the manager starts him every fucking week. Hey, yo, can't you just, you're going to start this kid every week then on the left-hand side for 4 months and let him go and get his form back, or no? Is that okay then? Because I just watched Luis Diaz play like absolute garbage up until about February, and now he's actually started to find some form again. Because let's get it right, he was absolutely fucking garbage from the start of the season. But I've seen you starting week in, week out, and you believed in him. But Gakpo hasn't had that run of games, I don't think. And before people say, well, he was starting when all the injuries were out. He was looking behind him, seeing fucking McCollum and Bobby Clark. Do you know what I mean? And he's got to be the leader. Can't he look back and see the fucking boss players? Can't he look back and only see Mo Salah to his right-hand side? You know what I mean? So there's a balance there. But I don't think there's anything more in this life that this kid needs is a good run with Holland in the summer. I'd love to see him go and get a few good goals and be like the main, like he was at the World Cup. Let's get it. He was the World Cup. He's the main man for Holland winning. Go and be the main man in the Euros and feel good about yourself. Virgil's telling you you're fucking lovely, and hopefully Javi Alonso comes in and goes, yeah, we're going to play this fucking keep the ball, 80% possession. You're going to be there and you're going to look lovely. And then we all go from there, don't we? Do you know what I mean? But I just think we need to get our arms around the player. I've seen the shit he's been getting on social media as well.
Crazy.
It's insane. And then people, again, go out and fucking rave about Darwin Núñez, thinking he's the best thing since sliced bread, when he's far from it. He's far from it, and so is Luis Diaz, by the way. So let's just get our arms around the kid. And I think he's going to have a lot more to play this season. He's going to have a lot more moments to play, especially if Darwin Núñez is fucking injured as well. So,
yeah, I think what it comes down to is the kid said, I'm not a number 9. And I think what happens here is when he came in, he was allotted playing in the center of last year because Núñez was struggling so much. He was hurt. Bobby wasn't fit, and we needed a player. And he came in and he hit the ground running. And I think when it was going really well for him, it was kind of easy. I do think, to Paul's point, he's a kid who came up in a system where he was the star player from the time he was 16 years old. He was PSV's best player when he was 18. And he stayed there till he was 22, and then he came here. And I think he got here and it hit the ground running, and it was like, I'm going to supersede, to your point, Kazi. I'm going to take that guy's number 9 job. I'm going to take the starting forward job. And in a lot of ways, we expected it to be his job. And I think when it got hard this year, I think he's hit the first real rough patch of his professional career. And I think it is important to see how he responds from it, because the one thing I will say is when you're getting criticism from ex-players saying you look disinterested and you're jogging and you're not working defensively, that's not a great look. And I think that is coming with the same criticism the manager gives him with Klopp's like rosy way of saying it. Like, there's a reason we don't pick him. There's a reason he's still working his way back. He'll get back to his best, but he has to work harder. There's the little things he does in training need to get better. and maybe that's motivating the player to fight for the job. And the difference is I see like the guy like Jota who shows up every day at training is like, looks around and is like, I'm just as talented as all of you, but for some reason you all play more than me every week, but I'll find a way. And then when I get my chance, I'll take it. I don't know. Gakpo knows. I've said this before to Paul. I think Gakpo is a player who starts and gives you more from the start than when he comes from the bench, because I think he plays his way into a game. When you ask him to come on, you get the people who say he drifts, he's lazy, he jogs, he's Dutch. He just doesn't look like he cares, but that's okay. I don't care about body language, but his performances have been less than stellar.
And that's fair, and you're completely right. But Gal's the part, though, mate, right? When he comes in and he's fucking excellent and he gets them 2 goals against United and all that, right? Because he's looking alongside him, Phil. He's got fucking Firmino, Salah, and behind him he had Thiago, Bajcetic, Fabinho, who's just found form by then. And he had all these fucking boss lads around him. And now he's looking, it's a bit disjointed, it's a bit weird. He hasn't got fucking Trent throwing diags from 70 yards out to your left wing. Do you know what I mean? Because he can find you from miles away. So there's a part as well where he needs to play with the boss lads. We used to say this about like Curtis Jones and like League Cup games. Oh, he's not good enough. Because he's playing with the shitheads as well. Why can't you put him in with the boss lads and see what he does? So there's a part where Gakpo also needs these lads to come back. I think he needs these injured lads to come back and go, wow, I'm getting 20 minutes here and everyone's playing well and everyone's found form. And Liverpool are 3-0 up in a game. And I can come on and just do my thing and play your way back in that way as well. So there's a balance in it. I just think that he's 24 and we should just give him a bit of time. He's shown enough to me that he can be a top player for Liverpool anyway.
So we're going to get ourselves out of here on this. We got a couple minutes left. Kazi, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for...
Before we go, right, fella, right, the last goal of United. Jurgen Klopp, mate, right? The only question I want to ask you is, like, why the fuck did you send everyone up on that corner for that counter-attack for that last goal? Because that's fucking amateur coaching. That is fucking amateur. For the experience you've got, you take your free, you go to pens and swallow it if you lose on pens. And go, listen, I've got no lads, got no Trent, you'll take a pen and no Salah. You fucking moron, right? And you need to swallow that, fella, because you've sent up everyone on that corner, Conor Bradley back. Conor Bradley's a kid, by the way. You should have took the foul. He should have took the sending off with 3 minutes to go, and let's all go from there. But that's a kid, and I don't expect him to do it. The manager is a fucking idiot for that, and he has to answer for
Elliot too. Elliot too, by the way. I mean, Elliot in that spot. As soon as the ball goes up in the air and Elliot knows he can't get there, and Endo doesn't do Elliot any favors running into him. Like at that moment, you're spot on, Kazi. The only thing you're trying to do is find Virgil van Dijk's forehead and the back of the net. And if you don't get that, you get penalties and put the pressure on them. And we were going to send up kids.
Yeah, we're going to sit one back. At least sit Endo back.
Right. But even so, you've let the kid back. Who's Bradley? He's still a kid. He should still bring him down. And Bradley probably knows in his head, I should have took one there. Just take the sending off. And by the way, if people go and win on pens, fella, I'd have a fucking statue outside the cop within a week.
Correct.
For taking that sending off, I'd have a fucking statue outside here. But that's still on the manager. You can't put the kid in that position. Endo's fucked at that point. Let's get it right. He's fucked at that point. So's Elliot, who hasn't got a lot of pace. I just don't know what the manager's doing, and he has to answer for it. Because, my God, fella, what the fuck were you thinking? I don't know. And that's what's going to really irate me about this game. If we don't go there and fuck them in 3 weeks, honestly, mate, I'm going to be heartbroken for that.
Maybe this is self-preservation, and it feels unfair because Kelleher's played out of his mind. But those first and fourth goals felt like saves that Alisson makes.
I know, but it saves like the greatest keeper in the Premier League history would make, yes. But that's what we're comparing to, aren't we? We're comparing, unfortunately for Liverpool fans right now, we're comparing.
But maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Yeah. How many world-class, incredible saves have Alisson done to win us points this year? So if you ride your luck that much, sometimes you eat it, right? I mean,
of course. But when people say, "Oh, well, Elliot saved that," the greatest goalkeeper in the Premier League history, he would save it, because that's what we should put in front of that sentence, because that's what he is. Is the greatest keeper the Premier League's ever seen. Do you know what I mean? And Kelleher is a top 6, top 7 Premier League goalkeeper. And that's the difference. Do you know what I mean? By the way, Kelleher should be playing for Brighton, and he'll look like the greatest thing since sliced bread, because the way Brighton play, and he'll look unbelievable. But that's for another thing. I just think that I genuinely went to bed going, I can't believe the manager just done that. I actually pulled it back up on Twitter and relived the moment to see what I was thinking in my head for the Diallo goal. And my God, mate, you are an idiot.
Yeah, I too thought it was a huge mistake. I thought it was just bad preparation. You just you take the you just hold you just take the 3-3 and you go to penalties and you just see what happens and you put the pressure on them.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they kick in front of the Stretford end. You got Rashford having to take a pen on short legs. You got this Diallo kid just got sent off. One of your offensive players is off the pitch. So you're both down to 10 players. You just go for it there. You know, McTominay was begging to come off the field and they didn't have any subs left because he had no legs left. Like they had guys who didn't want to take penalties. We had guys who didn't want to take penalties. Who knows what happens?
Yeah.
It was criminal to lose the match. It was just as bad to give it back to him twice. But ultimately, I think as we all came out of it from our Discord conversations, we didn't deserve to win it. Like if we had won it, fine, we would have taken it. We would have moved on and we would have been really happy with the Coventry draw. But it's not like we played great and they smashed and grabbed a couple goals late to get to extra time and then clawed one back on a big mistake or the goalie threw it in his own net or an own goal on a mistake. They got the goals. We made the mistakes. We played into their hands. So we'll regroup and we'll come back. Everybody get on over to the YouTube channel. Give it a like. Give it a subscribe. Be like Kazi. Go to the Patreon page and pick a level, any level. We'll give you a shout out if you pick the high level.
He's a real person. So if
he found out.
No, right? Me and Bichler.
We all figured it out.
Me and Bichler, I would butt heads to me, Gally, in the Discord. But lately, me and Bichler have been getting along well. It's like when the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan shook hands like this. Like, they're talking the fucking mega powers. Like this
is what happens. One Maka Big Boss Man reference during a post-match show, and we're just WWE all the time. And the best part was we're doing all these Big Boss Man jokes, and people are making comments, and everybody's thinking it. And we remember that we're talking to a guy who has no idea what 80s wrestling is like because he was in Turkey. And at that time, they weren't showing it. So he literally was like, he looked at us like we had 4 heads. And then Maka brings up the worst picture ever of the guy at like Comic-Con like 2 years ago. It's like a current version, which means he's like 35 pounds lighter than the wrestler who was on steroids in the 80s. So, guys, other than watching WWF or WWE, whatever age you are calling it, what are we doing during this international break to get past the 2 weeks? Or are we just taking the necessary break from football that's required a few times a year for our own sanity? We'll start with you, Bichler. What is the remedy for the next 10 to 14 days?
Well, this isn't probably a very kosher answer, but it's sports gambling has just become legal in the state of North Carolina. And so all betting accounts are giving you a $200 credit for any $5 bet. So like I am signing up for FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, like everything that I can possibly get. So,
I mean, for me, bro, I like a break. I do like the break. I honestly like to switch off from footy. We've got a big running, guys. We've got a lot more stress to happen in my life. The next fucking 10, 14 days, I don't want any more stress, you know what I mean? And I'm also excited to do a bit more digging on the Michael Edwards situation, to be honest, and actually, what is a head of football? I would really like to know what the head of football means. It's such a weird title of a thing. Like Michael Edwards controls football now. I have no idea. And I'm hopefully going to find out.
He just has 2 signs, yes or no, and holds one up.
Yeah, Xabi Alonso.
Right.
Like that.
Brian Shelton's going to be trying out a new smoker, so anybody in the Discord channel will just be hungrier earlier in the day than usual, and then really hungry late in the day. Because you get the before, the during, and the after. And the after is always like this disturbing picture of like a carcass on like a tree stump. And I'm always thinking to myself, like, I someday I'm going to get there, but then I'm afraid I may never get out of there.
Hey,
like
listen.
The banjos start, and the next thing you know, the smoker kicks on, AOL kicks in, dial up heads in.
If fucking Brian Smoker's anything like his internet, he'll be fucking cooking burgers for 9 hours, won't he? Jesus Christ. Look at this. I do have this. Yeah.
All right, boys. Thank you, Kazi, again, jumping on. Thank you to all of our viewers, our listeners, everyone who commented, all the folks on the Patreon. Thank you to everyone who tunes in all week long, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, all the morning shows, the night shows, the fantasy show, the pre- and post-match shows, which are getting larger and larger with your actions and your activity. Follow us on the socials. And, of course, if you want to get involved, don't forget to give us a call. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.